Life is D&D, and God is the dungeon master. A short story. The man lay in the field. He was dying. As he laid there, he remembered that he had just gotten into a fight and that he was in trouble. The next thing he realized, he was lying on the ground and he was bleeding pretty bad. He tried to get up. He couldn't. He didn't know that he was dying, so he just closed his eyes to rest a little, because he was tired. Well, hello there. The man found himself in a white room with another man talking to him. Hi, what's going on? You died, and now it's time to review your life. The quick response from the other man, who was dressed in gray, seemed to startle him a little. What? You died. I died? Yes. Where am I? You are where people go when they die. Now let's begin. The man was very confused, but on a wall on his right, he saw a projection of a woman in labor. The image was crystal clear. Why are you showing this to me? That's your mother. What? That's your mother. My mother? Yes, she's giving birth to you. Why are you showing this to me? This is your life review. Now pay attention. What? The man was very confused, but the man in gray spoke again. I said, this is your life review. Now pay attention. The man watched his entire life unfold before him. He couldn't believe that it was all on video, but it was. Every moment where he masturbated was on video. Every time he watched pornography was on video. When he cheated on his girlfriend, it was on video. When he cheated on his wife, it was on video. The man was extremely embarrassed as he watched, but then he realized that apart from the man in gray, there was no one else here, and the man in gray said nothing. Every single moment of his life was on video, and he was shocked, as well as embarrassed. But there was nothing he could do. He wanted to leave, but there was no way to leave. He wanted to ask a question or say something, but he found that he couldn't speak. Finally, the video reached the end of his life, where he laid in a field bleeding to death. He watched as he breathed his last breath, and he saw his soul leave his body. It looked like a silhouette of himself, but there were no features. He looked like a being made of light, and it was at that moment that he realized that he was that being. He never realized it until just now. He found he could speak now. I'm made of light? Yes. Why? Because you are. Now I must read your judgment. What? Your judgment. What do you mean? You and God will now judge your life, and then you two will decide where you want to go and what you want to do next. I don't understand. I know you don't, so just listen as I read your judgment. A podium appeared before the man in gray, and on it was a large but thin book. He opened the book and began to read. You did not live a very good life. Better than many, but far worse than many too. What? The man asked. He was looking very confused, but the man in gray continued. Do you need me to repeat what I just said? The man looked down. No, I guess not. So I didn't live a very good life, did I? No, you did not. You made a lot of mistakes and believed a lot of things that were wrong. You fell in with a lot of bad people who taught you a lot of bad things, and you fell for their lies and propaganda. Next time, I hope you'll make better decisions. Maybe next time you should think twice before you cheat on your girlfriend or your wife. Assuming, of course, that you get a girlfriend next time, let alone a wife. Wait, what? The man was very confused now, but the man in gray continued. I said that in your next life, hopefully you will make better decisions and not fall for the lies that you fell for. You came to believe many things about life that are not true, and you made many bad decisions. Next time, I hope you make better decisions and do what's right. Oh, why don't you tell me the truth about life and we go from there? The man in gray looked up at him, not smiling. That's the plan. All of a sudden, the entire room was filled with the image of galaxies. They were looking at the universe now, and there were more galaxies than he could count. The man in gray continued. You already have learned how vast the universe is. Well, it's way more vast than you thought it was. In fact, it's infinite. The man was stunned. It's infinite? Yes. That's not possible. So you believe it's finite? It has to be. Really? What would be on the other side of the edge of the universe? The man thought about it, but he wasn't really sure. I don't know. I guess empty space? The universe is mostly empty space. There are no barriers. There is no point where the universe ends, but this isn't really all that important. You don't really need to know that it's infinite. What you need to know is this. Life is eternal. What? You heard me. The man in gray looked at his watch. It's time to roll up your next character. The man found it odd that the man in gray had a watch on his wrist. Why do you have a watch on your wrist? To tell time, of course. But what? But why do you need to know what time it is? I don't, he said as he smiled, but I like to be organized. All of a sudden, the man found himself at the head of a very long table. The man in gray was at the head of the table, and there were some screens in front of him, blocking the man's view. At the table were many people, men and women, and they were all rolling dice and writing stuff on a sheet of paper with a pencil. The man in gray put 3 six-sided dice in front of him. Roll those dice, please. A woman who was sitting across from him looked over at the dice and then at him. Only 3d6? So you're going hardcore, are you? What? Is he rolling them in order? She asked the man in gray. We haven't determined that, and I have more dice, if we decide to use more. Oh, she said, looking very interested now. So you've got options, it seems. That's good. I say, go for a dwarven fighter. The man in gray looked at her. There are no dwarves where he's going. How about midgets? She asked. The man in gray just rolled his eyes. Just roll the dice, please. Why? The man asked him. Because I told you to. Now roll the dice and let's see what you get. Why am I doing this? What's going on? Because you need to roll up your next character because your other one died, so now it's time to roll up a new one. Roll up? Is this Dungeons and Dragons? He said, looking very confused now. Well, of course it is. Life is D&D. Now roll. Still looking confused and frustrated, the man picked up the 3 dice and rolled them. A 14, the man in gray said. Very nice. You have good strength. He then looked at the man. Of course, that's the strength you had before. Here's hoping that your intelligence and wisdom rolls are better this time. The man was frustrated now. I'm sorry, but why am I doing this? I just told you why. But the woman sitting across from the man had another question. Are you rolling intelligence next, or dexterity? The order doesn't matter, the man in gray said. So is this Wizards of the Coast D&D, or TSR D&D, she asked. I said it doesn't matter. Just roll your other physical stats now, and your mental stats last. The woman looked at the man and whispered to him, New school. I heard that, the man in gray said. Have you finished rolling up your next character? Yes, sir, she said. Good. Now just sit there and watch. Maybe you can offer him some advice. The man rolled the dice again, and they came up an 11. Okay, the man in gray said. Better than a 9. Next. The man rolled the dice again, and they came up a 7. Oh my, the man in gray said. Let me see if I can get you an extra roll. Another die appeared on the table, but the man found that he couldn't move the other dice. You may roll one more die. Hope for your sake you roll high. The other dice were a 4, a 2, and a 1. The man rolled the die, and it came up a 6. Oh, good, the the man in gray said. So your wisdom is 12. Hopefully that'll help keep you out of trouble. He rolled a 12 for his dexterity, an 11 for his constitution, and a 10 for his charisma. Good enough. Lucky for you that I was able to get you one free die roll. Let's see what your starting hit points will be. I'm guaranteeing you a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 8. He handed the man a 4-sided die. Take your best shot. The man looked at the man in gray with a strange look on his face as he continued to wonder what the point of all this was. He rolled the die and it came up a 4. Well, the man in gray said, I guess you're going to be quite skillful, or perhaps you'll just make the most of your 14 strength and your 11 constitution. What does all this have to do with my next life? The man asked. The man in gray just looked at him funny. It has everything to do with it. You died at the age of 42 because you lived a very foolish life, believing all kinds of nonsense. If you want to get somewhere, I suggest you make better decisions this time, or you might end up back here in under 50 years again, alone and broke, just like you ended up this time. Maybe don't cheat on your wife this time, assuming you get married, which I recommend you do. And consider having some children this time. Children? Why? Because children will enrich your life. That's why. But children make life more complicated and messy. I desire to live a stress-free life. The man in gray was not amused. Sir, you will never get very far until you realize that there's way more to life than avoiding stress. Life is about experience. It's acquiring experience that gets you to go up levels, and going up levels is how you get to heaven. The man was so confused now. What in the world are you talking about? The man in gray just shook his head. As I said, life is eternal, sir. You must therefore experience as much as you can. You must learn, you must practice, and you must achieve. That is what life is all about. I think you should try being a magic user, the woman said to him. The man in gray just gave the woman an odd look. His best stat is his strength. I recommend either a fighter or a ranger. The man's confusion continued. Magic user? How can I possibly be a magic user? Are you saying I can learn how to cast spells in my next life? Yes and no, the man in gray said. But with an 11 intelligence, I don't recommend it. You'd be a stumbling, bumbling magic user, that's for sure. Sir, how can I possibly cast spells in my next life? It's complicated, but it doesn't matter. I think you qualify to be a ranger, but if you don't, maybe I can make an exception. The woman was looking through her player's handbook. He qualifies. It says so right here. The man in gray grabbed her book and looked at it. Very well. I'll allow it. So, what do you want to be? A fighter or a ranger? A human ranger? On Earth? The man asked. Yes, said the man in gray. How? What do you mean, how? I'm the dungeon master. I'm allowing it. You're telling me there are rangers on Earth? Of course. You could be an excellent woodsman. You could chop down trees and eat your lunch, and on Wednesdays you could go shopping. The man looked so confused. What? But the man in gray continued. You will sleep all night and work all day. Okay, the man blurted out. Just hold on a second. What's going on? Could I be his wife? The woman asked, looking a little excited now as she looked into the man's eyes. The man in gray looked at her. What's your intelligence? Wait, I have it right here. It's an 8. Oh, bother, the man in gray said. Fine. Another 6-sided die appeared on the table next to her. Roll it, the man in gray said. Come on, baby, the woman said. Roll high. The die came up a 4. Okay, so 4, 4, and 3 is 11. That's good enough. I'll make sure you two meet. The rest is up to you. Oh, yay, the woman said, looking excited. Glad I'm not going to be an idiot. The man in gray looked at her again. If you were, you wouldn't have a chance of becoming his wife. What if his wisdom remained an 8? The man in gray thought about that. Then yeah, probably. But now we're not dumb and dumber, so maybe we'll have a great life, she said, smiling. That's up to you two. Good luck. The man in gray started to leave. Hey, where are you going? The man asked him. There's a lot that I still need to fill out. Yes, I know. Your mother is already pregnant with you. As soon as you finish fleshing out your character sheet, you'll enter into her womb and await your birth. So I recommend you fill out the rest carefully and really give some thought to your background story. It's kind of important, but I'm sure you already knew that. Are you telling me that what I write on my character sheet is going to affect my life? Well, yeah, the man in gray said, looking a little bewildered now. I want to be a druid, the woman said. The man in gray was already walking away, but he stopped and turned around. A ranger and a druid. He thought about it some more. Okay, that's fine. Just try to avoid having arguments with each other. And I also recommend you avoid cities as much as possible. Good luck to you both. And with that, the man in gray somehow left the room, though they never saw him go through a door or anything. The woman got up, walked around the table, and walked up to the man. She put her hand on his shoulder. I'd like to have an argument. The man frowned. No, you wouldn't, he said to her. Yes, I would. No, you wouldn't. Yes, I would. No, you wouldn't. I would. Wouldn't. Would. The man started looking around, which made the woman confused. What are you looking for? She asked him. He looked around some more, and then looked at her. Dirty books, please.